Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all amazing. Today on 5 Killer Riffs, it has been a long time coming, but we are taking a look at Extreme and their guitar player, Nuno Bettencourt, who was not only an amazing guitar player, a really good singer, a fantastic songwriter, and let's face it, an absolute dreamboat as well. Does that make Nuno a quadruple threat? Let me know in the comments. I got my first Extreme album when I was maybe 15 or 16, and unlike a lot of people, it was actually their third album, 3 Sides to Every Story. And to me, I was immediately into it because it kind of sounded a little bit Hendrixy, it kind of sounded a little bit heavy, it kind of sounded like the Chili Peppers, but from an alternate universe. And the guitar playing was just absolutely off the charts. The song that stuck with me, though, is the song Cupid's Dead, because it's just this really fun, funky, Hendrixy, groove-based song where you can really hear Nuno just kind of roll through the changes there. It's so indicative of Nuno's funk sensibilities and their amazing sense of time and pocket and groove. And if you're new to Extreme, this is a great one to try and pick up to start to get some of that Nuno goodness under your fingers. This is how I try to play it. Next up, we're going to take a track from the Pornography album, which I remember buying for $3 when I was 16 years old from a secondhand store, because I really liked that 3 Sides album from Extreme, and I thought, hey, I'm going to find all the Extreme I can, and at the time couldn't find it in any CD shops, except for this secondhand store. I jumped on it, and I reckon I listened to that album non-stop for a couple of weeks. It used to be my routine where I would come home from school, and I get home about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I would put that album on, have something to eat, and I would normally like fall asleep for about 15 minutes, and I would get up and practice guitar for a few hours before I had to do my homework. And when I was doing my homework, I would listen to that album, and it's just part of my DNA now. But we're going to look at the riff from the song Little Jack Horny because I think it kind of sums up the Extreme sound. The song is in drop C sharp, and essentially you're using the C sharp Dorian mode here and focusing on that chunky low string. So you have this sort of... And there's a real characteristic Nunoism here where you hit the D string and then you do a hammer-on from nowhere on fret 3 and 5 of the A. Then you hit the open A and you do a hammer-on from fret 3 to fret 5 on the low string. Kind of reminiscent of stuff that's really popular now by guitar players like Tosin Abasi. You know, Tosin would call it selective picking, but Nuno was doing all sorts of stuff like this back in the day. So that's a really fun one to try and practice. Sounds really, really cool too. Reminds me of that little Tool riff as well. But this is a song that, for me, like I said, has been massively influential. And if you listen to ragdoll songs like Letting Go. All I want to know, can you find a soul buried in the sweat and blood and cold? See this kind of little Dorian pocket down here where you've got fret 5 on the 5th string is your root note, and fret 3 is your dominant 7th, and fret 2 is the natural 6th, which you can combine with the minor 3rd on fret 3 there. So take those notes and go and write your own Nuno style riff, but this is what Little Jack Horny sounds like. up, the dark horse candidate coming from the very underrated Waiting for the Punchline album, which I think was very much a victim of circumstance. It's a great album. It's a great extreme album. It just kind of came out at the wrong time. But this is another riff in drop C sharp that is far more difficult to play than you would expect. I like that it's kind of using this little octave style idea for most of that. Kind of reminiscent of riffs like, you know, Just Got Paid by ZZ Top, but of course there's all these really cool flourishes in there. And it's just hard to play in the pocket as always. It's a really great example of the band playing together as a unit. And probably my favorite thing about that whole album is the way it sounds. It just sounds really raw and stripped back, and everyone just plays so well on it. So here's my take on Cynical. Next up, we're going to do He-Man Woman Hater. I still remember hearing the Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee, the little intro that Nuno does to that, and having an absolute sense of disbelief that someone could play guitar that fast. And a little while later, somebody explained to me that Nuno was using, you know, rhythmic delay so that you could still play relatively human speeds, but make it sound like you're playing like an absolute alien. I'm still not convinced that Nuno is not an alien, but I'm going to play you the main riff to He-Man Woman Hater because to me, it's such a great demonstration, again, like all these riffs on here, of just how gifted Nuno was as a rhythm guitar player. It's like this combination between having an incredibly loose funk style feel and a really loose, relaxed wrist with kind of heavy metal style palm muting, and you get an absolute classic. Sounds like this. Get the funk out. The solo that Nuno plays on that, I can listen to any hour of any day, and it just puts a massive smile on my face, you know. He's tucking into that Dorian blues thing that was so popular in the 1980s. You know, listen to Paul Gilbert, or listen to Nuno, or listen to Richie Kotzen, or anyone else of that ilk, and they're kind of dominating that sort of stuff. But then you have this fantastic major tapped string skip arpeggio sequence that follows the chords, the great bass tone doing that kind of walking bass line on there, the horns on the song, Gary Sharon's vocal performance. It's the whole package. If you've never listened to Extreme before, or you have a friend who has never listened to Extreme before, and they're a guitar player, just play them Get the Funk Out and sit back and watch their reaction. And now I have to try and play part of this solo. So I'm gonna cross my fingers, my toes, and my eyes and give it a shot. And I'm gonna say, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you've got a favorite Extreme or Nuno riff that I missed out, let me know in the comments section below. And if you want to support my channel directly, you can sign up to my Patreon or buy some of the music that I make with my band Ragdoll. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Now I've got to try and play this solo. Wish me luck. Cheers.